So step inside. When we looked around, the metal scene was just a bunch of pretty people with spiky hair and shiny clothes, and we were like, what is this? Our whole mentality was, okay, you want cheekbones, you want pretty people, here's a mask. You want the latest fashion, here's my coveralls. You want my name? Screw you, here's my number. Here's my barcode. For what music was at the time was a commodity. It was us basically telling the entire world, screw you. We're bringing it back to what it was and what it should have been. We've always really tried to go visually for something different, something like an evolution. There's a very unique marriage of thought and art that really makes it stand apart from everything. There are always going to be people who misunderstand us. There's always going to be people, to this day, people think we're satanic. I'm like, are you nuts? We speak our minds, and people are offended by that.
Humanity has embraced controversy. Or maybe it's just created because we need something to give us meaning, you know what I mean? Need something to argue about.
It's ridiculous. Like, if they knew us, they'd realize that we're actually worse than they think. We're smarter than they think. There's a lot of art behind what we do.
We're just smart, man. We all have a mindset. That's how we've lasted. You're with Slipknot or you're without. But you're not gonna stop Slipknot. Death isn't gonna stop Slipknot. Original members not being around isn't gonna stop Slipknot. In a world that isn't perfect, we're just trying to create an organism that feels right for us, that I can ride out until I'm dead. Because we work really hard to be where we're at, and it's pure art, and it's pure love from the people around. We've just pretty much been killing ourselves for this. We expect it.
It's not my fault that a lot of simple minds can't understand us.
That's right! Let me see you fucking jumping! Go!
Who are the maggots and why are they called? I mean, at this point, it's anybody, you know? I mean, you used to be able to recognize them a lot easier. It's anybody who is looking for a voice and maybe feels like they don't have it. It's anybody who just really digs the music and needs that release. You know, I've had, you know, kids who've come up in the standard J11, you know, wardrobe for a metal fan, and then I've had dudes come straight from work, suit and tie. And as soon as the music starts, they're taking their tie off and their jacket, and they're like, you know, they're letting loose. And to me, that's the appeal. You have to be really into music to enjoy what we do. You have to listen to music in a very specific way to enjoy what we do, and I'm proud of that.
playing these big festivals and looking out into the crowd, it just looks like this. You know what I mean, out there? And that's kind of what maggots on a decaying corpse, roadkill or whatever looks like.
If you want to trip out on all the weird things in life, you know, there's even an organism that will eat dead things. It'll get rid of it, just. So the maggots, I've always believed, are ourselves.
Maggots evolve, they turn into flies. I think ours turn into butterflies, though.
I try to design a band around the 50% of people that want to be around us, the 50% of the people that love what we do, that understands, cares, has empathy for the human condition, needs heavy, aggressive music for temperature and emotion, people who are questioning their social and cultural awareness.
It's people that are 60, it's people that are 10. It's every genre, every ethnicity, every income level, it's everybody, because everybody can relate to pain. Everybody can relate to anguish. Everybody can relate to not fitting in. That's where Slipknot fills that void.
It's a boiling point that if it's not reckoned with, it can scar, and it can make a big difference in your life. It's healing, it's medicine.
If you read Corey Taylor's lyrics and listen to him, you'll see it. He's not afraid to release that pain. And if you hear the music goes along with it. Every ounce of pain that Clown has, or Corey has, or Jim has, or Mick has, all comes out in that. And that's what the fans respond to.
I push my fingers into my...
What I gotta say, and then I swear I'll go away, but I stand by my girl and go away. And I guess I'll save the best for last. My weakest things like one big pass, you live with me, and you let me know so. And I push my fingers into
Time has not spared us the hardships, obviously. It was unavoidable. As mad as this band is, the addictions, the alcoholism, you were just hell-bent out of control the way we were. It was going to end somewhere. I don't want to say that it was the cliched, troubled history of a band like us, but sometimes the insanity happens and you live through it or you mourn the ones who don't. When we lost Paul, it was a wake-up call in a lot of different ways, and we've gotten through it together.
We say to ourselves all the time, you can't write this. If I go back on all my tragedies and all my pluses, it's really, you can't write any of it.
I wouldn't say that these things have informed pain in the writing. It's informed catharsis. It's helped us move on. Obviously, coming from the Midwest, we were raised by a generation that stuffed feelings down and we didn't deal with things. As time's gone on, we've realized that's a great way to kind of lose your mind. I think my focus came as my children were being born, It became important for me to really get it together. Once I had that focus, that anchor to my life, that was all that mattered,
I've been able to enjoy this band from day one because of Corey Taylor's lyrics, so I take him very serious, and the trust that he has to us and the organization to record. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to pull in all that emotion and give it. So I take it very seriously.
Corey's like amazing at metaphoric lyricism and, melody and anybody can take anything. Even if he's talking about something that's specific to his life, he can do it so metaphorically that anybody can relate to it. And that's a special gift, that's a talent.
Our recording process, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, it's very euphoric. It's very sad, it's very emotional. I find myself crying a lot, and especially when you start something from the beginning. Could just be one piano note. Ding, you just, that emotion, that color. Emotion's hard for me to share. And that's one thing I love about this band. They're able to break that wall in me to where I'm forced to share my emotion. But it's behind closed doors, and it's for very few eyes. God, I need it. We need it. And I love to relive it. Like I said, it's never been about videos or interviews or recordings or albums. It's always been about the show.
The hardships the band have been through have made us stronger. Relationships sacrificed and, band members passing away, and pushes you to make sure that it was worth it, to make sure that you keep moving forward, to make sure that you're doing it.
The pain never goes away. It just becomes manageable, We've had to kind of really find ways to stay sane in a mad world, Writing has definitely helped. Making music has helped. But the gratifying thing is seeing that it helps other people, because we're all going through it. We all lose, we all hurt, and we all try to maintain. All we can do is try to find ways to get through it. By making this music, it helps us move on. And hopefully by listening to this music, it helps other people move on.
We lost Paul quite a few years ago, and if he were here today, he would be like, yes, we're doing it still. You know what I mean? He'd be stoked. That's also a motivating force,
What's kept Slipknot going over the years, despite all the tragedy, I think, is their love for each other and their love for the fans. The untimely, unfortunate passing of Paul Gray, who was the life pulse of that band. Paul Gray was the center. He was the guy that kept everyone together. He was just that warm soul that you wanted to be around and be close to. So whether it was Paul Gray passing away, whether it was Joey Jordison not being in the band, different tragedies that have happened, the sum of Slipknot's always been more important. That brotherhood between them and that connection with the fans is unusual.
Our relationship's pretty complex, There's definitely a lot of layers to it. I was an only child, so I don't know what it's like to have siblings. Now, after 20 years, I can honestly say I know what it would feel like to have, you know, brothers. Probably argue and fight, but I would do anything for any one of them, and I know that they would do the same for me. And it's like family, you know, like you might not necessarily get along with that person today, but you'd kill for them, you know, or if anybody ever did anything to them, you'd take it personally. And that's how I feel about these guys, you know, and sometimes they do things that piss me off, but it's like, well, you got to do you, and that's what you're doing, so how can I argue with that? In the beginning, it was all this like really heavy, aggressive, you know, we're beating each other up on stage, you know? And I think that if you really dig down into Corey's lyrics and you look at, and for me personally, if I look at the people that I get messages on social media or whatever it is who we've helped, you'll see that there's a lot of light and brightness there. There's a lot of hope there. And I think people tend to overlook that. That's one of the other things that people overlook. You know, they just think, oh, metal band, doom, gloom, depression, you know, and all that. But I think you need to get through that in order to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And there's, you know, Corey, there's a lot of hope in his lyrics.
We don't touch religion because it's too confusing. And you have to respect people who have faith, no matter what it is. If they want to have faith in a tree, so be it. Who am I to say? So we don't touch it. Or mass amounts of politicalness. I just don't want to get caught in lies, and you know, I don't want to be passionate about truth and then have liars burn it down and confuse the drama. Like, it's not worth it for me. I'm here to let you know, don't judge me. I'll do what the hell I want. I don't care who you are. You shouldn't care who I am. I shouldn't care who you are. This is your life. These are your days. This is your breath. This is your blood. Get what you can get out of it. Allow me to get what I can out of it. Don't judge me. We don't have anything to prove to anyone but ourselves, and as long as I'm making myself happy and I'm not lying to myself, then usually the maggots are like, you know, I'm still in because I might not agree with that decision, but at least they believe it, and that's truth. So just don't, I think the message is don't ever judge me. You wanna know how this exists? It exists because we don't allow people to judge us. We kick the door in. You wanna judge? We kick the door in. And then you gotta deal. And then you realize judging is not the way. So that's what Slipknot stands for. Always, always, always.
Fuck you.
I'm